of Real Property Tax Services Environmental Concern for today, this morning. Welcome, everyone. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting, please? Supervisor Loeb, seconded by Merlino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone? Comments? Opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you. Okay, Lexi, you're up.
Okay. First on the agenda is a resolution request to accept the bids for both printing of our tax maps for the towns and for the county. Constructive Copy came in with the low bid. The past couple of years we've been using Northco, but prior to them we have used Constructive Copy before. So we just need to have approval to enter into a new contract with them. The bids are attached. Everybody wanted to see. It was going to be $1,246.80 to print all the copies that are needed for the towns as well as for the county.
Supervisor Simpson moves that, and second by Supervisor Straub. Do you have a question also?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are these going to be digitalized too?
They can be.
Not just copy, but digitalized? We're digitalizing these as we go and putting them in the records and trying to go paperless. And
We can also give PDFs, all of them to the town. We have them all that way, set up on our website.
Oh,
that you
okay.
can access.
All right. Great.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll make sure that Terry gets like a disc or something. Okay.
Supervisor Loeb?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The cost of these individual maps is pretty low. I'm wondering how these are actually distributed, and do residents pay an upcharge for these maps?
No, this is something that by real property tax law, we have to provide a copy of tax maps to all the towns. We also have to have a copy here at the county for any public that comes in to view them. And the same goes for the towns. We also do half-size ones for the assessor's office. So,
Well, who then uses these? Certainly you don't need all these maps just for the town. There's got to
town
be for the
gets a
residents
copy as
or
well as
real
the-
estate. Somebody.
anybody that wants to come into the town level or the county level to view them, but the assessors use them for their assessment purposes as well. They usually get a copy, large copy to have in the office for any of the public to come in and view, as well as we do in our office. And then there's half-size maps that the assessors all use when they're going out in the field to do their data collecting or any field work. A lot of times they take the half-size maps with them so they can actually see the layout of the property while they're out there.
Well, of course, but I don't recall the exact numbers, but the number of towns and assessors is a couple handfuls.
Mm-hmm.
We're ordering a lot of maps. Who uses these maps, and do they pay an extra charge to get them?
If they want to actually purchase a copy, then we would print a copy for them here in our office. If they want a full-size maps, we print a lot of maps. We do custom maps as well down there, aerial photos, or they can get just parcel maps on 8.5 by 11. But these are the actual full-size tax maps that are viewable by the public to come in. What we're paying for is not copies that we're selling to anyone.
So we're only getting 40 maps?
No, we're getting, and of course that sheet I didn't bring with me. Hold on, I got it right here. So we're getting 1,923 full-size sheets.
Exactly.
And
So who uses,
1,024.
why do we need more than 50 maps if nobody is using them except the
No, because
assessor?
it's more for the whole county than that.
They can only fit so many
Town of Queensbury has-
properties on a map.
So,
I'm sorry,
Sure.
may I?
Yes? Supervisor Host?
A couple of weeks ago, I had some questions. I went downstairs, they pull out the maps, we open them up, and I can see the parcels that, anybody who wants to do that can go down there and see those. And then we have copies in our office at Town Hall, too, and people come in all the time and want to see, who's adjacent to them.
it shows all the neighboring properties. It doesn't have names on them, but
Well, maybe I'm asking the wrong question. Is this just one map for the...
no. Each town has their own index, which shows multiple sections for each
So it's
town.
not copies, it's sheets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you were going to paste it all together in one big copy, how many copies would that?
You couldn't do that.
I'm not trying to make it, you could just not give me an answer. It's a simple question, but
Well, you don't know
we
how-
don't
I
need
guess how
1,000
I answered.
copies for Warren County, or is it really only 1,000?
No, they're not copies.
Pasted together. Well, that's what I'm trying to get.
Right.
It's a sheet for each section of the tax map. Each tax map number has a section, block, and a lot. So you would have to look at your section of the tax map that would show your piece, which is going to show your piece, everybody else in that neighborhood around you. So there's multiple sections for each town. So we have to, here at the county, we house the whole entire county sets, so that anybody that wants to come in to view those and look at those, look at the assessment rolls, we have copies of all that for them to view here, as well as each town assessor's office has to have copies for them to be viewed.
I mean, let's get the semantics right. You're making me sound like I'm making a big deal out of this. So you only really have 1 or 2 sets of all the maps, which could be,
I have
all-
a
50
set
sheets of paper.
for each town,
okay,
and the town of Queensbury has probably, in my set downstairs, we probably have 6 books for Queensbury, because you can only put so many in the hangars. Town of Bolton has, every town has a set. Some of them have to be broken down into 2 sections. Some of the smaller towns, like Stony Creek, I only have 1 book. Thurman, I only have 1 book. Hague, I only have 1 book.
Do you have multiple books? Like, let's say this, for the book for Thurman,
You want me to go down and get what you're talking
No,
about?
so what I'm putting together is, if you took all these sets you have, and Queensbury has, and Johnstown, that all equals 1,000 pages.
yes,
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
yes, yes. Okay, I think we still need to vote on that contract. Supervisor Hogan, are you okay?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm just fine, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it carries. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is another resolution request. We have worked pretty hard to get to this. This is on the Chestertown property on Pine Street. We have worked with New York State on this, myself, the county attorney, Deborah Gorman from New York State DEC. She is a senior attorney down there, and we have a consent, order on consent to get through to allow the chairman of the board to be able to execute this agreement with New York State DEC for the town of Chester. It's for a maximum dollar amount of $10,000, and it's our portion for New York State to be able to go in and remove the tanks from the property and do the cleanup on the property. So they will be paying anything above and beyond $10,000. The county's portion would only be for $10,000.
Do you have any comments on this, County Attorney Christine?
Yeah, so I do actually want to, it's actually for a not to exceed of $15,000. They said the county will not incur costs above $5,000 just for the investigation of the facility. And then if they have to do any remedial or removing, it's going to be a not to exceed of $10,000. So it's going to be $15,000 altogether.
Okay.
Can
I do see that.
Supervisor Shaw?
I'm reading it differently.
Okay.
It says on B, number 1B, it says that the amount will not exceed 10,000 total
It is.
for
and
the
that's what she told me,
investigation
and
and removal.
it's only 10,000 is what Deborah Gorman had stated to me in my email, but I may be wrong. You're the attorney, not me.
I think we need to rewrite that.
So
way
it
I-
says 10,000 for investigation and removal.
But you, from what Deb told you,
It
you
was
think it was
only gonna
just
be
to be 10,000?
10,000.
Yeah, we could,
Yes.
I think we could tweak that and make it a little
We
clearer.
can
that it's-
clarify it
Yeah.
with her, but
Do you think so?
I do. I just think she put in the email to me it was not to exceed 15, so we're going to have to confirm with them which they, yes.
Okay. Yes, Supervisor Simpson.
I'd like to make a motion that we do 2 and 3, not to exceed 15,000.
Okay,
It comes out of our environmental
yes,
cleanup fund. We need to clean it up, we need to clarify that information.
right.
This gives you the ability.
Okay,
If I
Lexi.
may.
Yes.
Can we first maybe clarify that and edit the resolution?
I think that we can
because-
pass this today if Supervisor Simpson is putting forward not to exceed 15,000.
Can I?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. So that extra 5,000, the only thing is if we remove that from the reserve testing fund and put that into my budget, it cannot go back to the reserve testing fund. That's why I was just thinking if we could amend it instead to be the 10,000 if that's what it's supposed to be, or the 15 and actually move the proper amount. I'd rather not move that extra 5,000 if we don't have to.
Hold on, Supervisor Simpson,
Can I
yes?
amend my motion, because we could
Just hold on.
amend this at the board meeting, right? If
Right.
it proves to be 15.
Supervisor Leggett, and then I'll get to you. Mike. Okay, Mike, go ahead.
We can't move the money until after the board resolution. So you can pass it now at 15 and then amend it when you get to the board meeting, 10, if this is where I think it should be, 10. But we can't move the money until after the board resolution.
Okay, well, and the clerk also said that this is going to need to go to finance, so hopefully we can figure it out by finance, and then we'll have that number. Okay. And if we need to, Supervisor Leggett, did you have a comment?
Thank you. So is this actually a consent order?
Hmm?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, for them to be able to move forward.
Yes,
Just
Supervisor
briefly,
McDevitt?
the contract, which I think is the important document, suggests $15,000. The cover letter, which is just a piece of paper, that says 10, but it would seem to me that what's dictating here is what it actually says in the contract. And they're suggesting $15,000 in the
It's not
contract.
to exceed $10,000 total for the investigation and removal of any abandoned or leaking tanks as discovered pursuant to that investigation.
Hmm? I think he's talking about the
There's
resolution
obviously
request.
discrepancy, yeah.
Okay, so I think we can move forward in this manner. I think everyone hopes it will only be 10,000, right? That would be our maximum liability. But we'll figure it out, what DEC is offering us for sure, and clarify that prior to finance if we can, and then ultimately at the full board meeting. Yes, Supervisor Leggett.
Thank you, Joe Kramer. I want to thank Real Property Tax Services for moving this forward. This property has been an abandoned property in the town of Chester in the hamlet for years, and with the brownfield, and was not moving forward without the ability of the county to actually do something. So I want to say thank you very much for helping this move forward, and we look forward to the day when the property.
Supervisor Garrity? Did you have something?
Oh, I was looking at that thing.
Supervisor Darmond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to second his motion.
Okay, you're not on my committee, though. I need a different person to second.
Not on it? I thought it was...
Thank you, Supervisor Molino, and thank you, Supervisor Leggett, for your comments. It is great that we are able to move this forward. So I have a motion and a second from committee members. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. It carries. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
So we moved 2 and 3. Is that your understanding? Okay.
we did.
Yes.
Okay. What am I doing? Perfect.
Information for discussion and review. I do have an item on here that was brought forward to me by Supervisor Garrity. I think if he could just give us a little intro today, and then we can discuss it further next month.
Which one?
This is on the proposed
In 5,
modifications to the terms and conditions of sale.
I'm going to ask I'm going to have to bring my code enforcement officer, he's got a lot into this, wow, if you purchase a piece of property on tax auction, you have 2 years to clean it up, you can't just let it sit. We all have these properties that just seem to sit there and languish, but I'm going to have him come in and, he'll speak to the committee next month. And the city has been mostly buying properties off of auction, so they just don't sit there and languish without having something done to them.
Okay, so the,
Very good at reading this stuff. He talked to the city, I haven't.
Lexi, what did you include in our packet this month? Is this,
I gave a copy of a resolution that was drafted from the county attorney's office from information that Supervisor Garrity had presented at a meeting back in the fall of 2018. I also gave a copy of the resolution that it was amending, and I also included a copy of my terms and conditions of sale for our auction, and that is where they are looking to incorporate this information.
in the terms and conditions, those are the current terms and conditions now?
They, yes, they are from last year's auction, but they would bump over to this year. We're using the same auctioneer, so there wouldn't be any changes in the percentage or anything. So they would be looking to add this, I believe, to paragraph 6, and it would become subparagraph F.
Okay, so, yes, Supervisor Loeb.
Yes, I wonder if there was a particular event or what has caused us to start thinking along these lines to make this amendment?
Properties get sold at our auction, and sometimes the successful bidders don't move forward with doing anything with them. They buy them and then they let them just sit there and go further into disrepair. I think what Supervisor Garrity's DEO is trying to resolve that from happening in some of the towns by putting this in the terms and conditions, so when someone purchases, it would be in the terms. It wouldn't just be at a town level.
Supervisor?
Oh, ma'am.
Yes, Loeb.
Yes, I know that. That's all clear. But why? Why are we talking about this? Has been going on for decades. Was there anything that said, maybe we should start doing this?
Supervisor Moreno?
Well, a couple of us supervisors of towns have been complaining because I have a couple of properties in my town sold through the county, cheap, $10,000, $15,000, and the grass is high and the shutters are falling off. We have no control to make them clean it up. That's what we're trying to do, so that they know when they buy these houses, they are responsible, 3 months, 6 months, whatever we decide, that have to be reasonably repaired.
Good.
That's
a
why
good
this
idea.
has been going on for years, but we're trying to stop it.
Thank you.
Yes, Supervisor Garrity.
Just real quick, it's really for quality of life, Bill. I mean, we have a property maintenance code we instituted up there, but people will buy these properties, they just let them decay, and then you get complaints on a town level. They purchase it at auction for a real cheap price, and it takes you a long time. At least if you have this tool in your auction terms of sale, you'll have a little teeth that make them move a little bit quicker. It's a long process. We've been after a bunch of properties up there, and it takes time to do it. But zombie properties are a big problem for everybody. This may help us move along if they know that they've got to do something with this piece of property.
If I could follow up, is this something that we weren't able to do before, or we just didn't think about?
Well, we
doing
found,
this?
Michael guy has been researching this for a long time, and he happened to come across the city of Kingston. They instituted on properties they sell, and it seems to work very well, and he's talked to Kingston. He's a little more of an expert than I am on it, and I'll have him come and talk to you about it.
Supervisor Leggett?
Thank you. I concur with Supervisor Garrity on this, and it also goes, well, with buyer beware. Somebody at an auction to buy a big property in town of Chester had several that came up this year, and I went by one of them, and the trailer is caved in from the snow load. It's taken care of. These people, as they buy them now, are aware that they need to clean it up, and so instead of the town coming in afterwards and saying, you need to clean this up within a certain amount of time. So it gets things going on the upfront side instead of coming back around that.
It says, reading from the proposal, it says that within 24 months, I assume that's from the purchase at auction, they would have to obtain a certificate of occupancy for the buildings on the property, make all buildings granted a certificate of occupancy fit for the use stated in such certificate of occupancy, or demolish such buildings.
This isn't really a real property issue, it's more of a DEO kind of thing, a zoning thing, or our code enforcement, you know. Maybe we could also, if we could get Charlie Wallace from
Yeah.
our fire and code to come over as well, he could probably give some input on this. I think if we put this in the terms of condition, like Supervisor Garrity states, it'll give you some teeth to be able to, you know, enforce this a little bit better. It was there.
Supervisor Hogan?
At the risk of revealing how people in Johnsburg may feel and behave sometimes, should we add something about demolish and remove debris?
Yeah.
Just
Perhaps.
a little
Let's
circle
get-
that demolish isn't far enough?
Let's get Mr. Wallace to come next month, because I do think that that's going to be a code issue, especially with certificates that he is issuing, right, for certain towns. Is he the one doing that? Does Mr. Wallace issue this?
In Warrensburg, we issue a demo permit, but then they have to follow up, and the county issues demo permits also. And another thing about that now is the GO, Department of Labor permit to check for asbestos removal, which has put an added burden on these people when they purchase these properties, that they have to have an asbestos removal company come in and check the structure for that too. A lot of this stuff, I mean, it's just to clean up your towns. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I mean, we're going to proceed with, you know, for the county to put it on properties, to when people buy these properties. I mean, we had this big debate about whether Queensbury should get this or the city of West Falls should get the tennis thing because they would let properties go. Well, this would apply to everybody. If you purchase a property off the auction, you got to clean it up. You have 24 years to make it inhabitable or remove it, I guess. I mean, to me, this is a no-brainer. I mean, it's the right thing to do for your community. You don't have to do it.
Right. Well, if we put this in the terms and conditions for the county, they will have to do it
Yeah, for the county, on the county auctions.
at the county auctions, right. I guess my only concern is that it might discourage people from buying the property, but it's a,
It could potentially, sure. But there's other things that people, if you're in town government, you already know that there's a lot more to when you buy a property, you have to tear it down now. It's not as quick as just don't move in with a backhoe and remove it, a track hoe and take it down. There's a lot more to this, but I think this will help the town. I think this helps town government.
all right, well, we'll have further discussion. We'll make sure we put time on our agenda so we can talk about this. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to move on. It's not listed, but under environmental concerns, I just wanted to get a quick update from Tammy on our the state septic program. And hopefully next month or the month after, we can have further discussion about the countywide transfer law that we had some presentations on last month.
So, at this point, last month, Chris Nowitzki, the Lake George waterkeeper, was here, and he presented, and we're in the process of reviewing the report that he submitted, as well as setting up a meeting with him. I know he specifically was working on Lake George properties, but also with Glen Lake Association. And then we'll get together and we'll determine what we are looking at water bodies where there is public access. That's important as it's using public funding. So that's where we're at.
Okay. And that could include other than just Lake George.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at
Any-
my colleague from Lake Luzerne.
Sure. Water bodies with public access. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great, thank you.
If there are any organizations that would have some data on the water quality in any of the lakes that we might be interested in, that would be very helpful as we send that information over to Ken Kaczynski with the state.
Yes, Supervisor Hogan.
We talk lakes and rivers?
Yeah, I think so.
We are.
And-
We're talking lakes and rivers, and it would have to, we're looking for water bodies with septic systems within 250 feet of the water bodies. The count, again, just to, something we said at last month meeting, is typically upstate counties are getting approximately $200,000, and each project could have up to $10,000 given to them to replace septic systems. So we're only talking about a 20, well, that's it. So we really have to be very careful how we look at the projects so that we really can affect the most change for the amount of money that we potentially could get.
Well, that's why you're looking for data, so that we can prioritize the places where we really need to focus our efforts.
Right, we
Yeah.
couldn't provide a list of, because initially we started, hey, we'll include all the water bodies in Warren County. That's not going to be appropriate again, because there's going to be a certain amount of money that will be distributed through, at least through this funding source. Unless they open that up, and that's possible too. The first round was $15 million, for which we were not eligible because the DEC did not, through their efforts, did not identify any water bodies in Warren County as being their high-need water bodies.
But now they have?
They have not. Nope, they have not. So now we need to opt in by providing them the information. That's why we're asking if you know of a group like the Lake George Watershed or Waterkeeper in that group,
And the
to provide that
Adirondack-
information.
Adirondack Lakes Alliance may have some.
Yeah, the different associations around, Schoon Lake
Right.
Association, East Shore, they'll have
Yeah.
data. They've been doing the, most of the work on the lakes.
Okay. Anything else on that? Yes, Supervisor
No,
McDevitt?
separate issue.
Okay, go ahead.
The Queensbury Bay Road property, any update?
Not really, not at this point. We kind of worked more on this Chester one because we knew that they were willing to work with us on getting that sign. So I haven't gone any further with the Bay Road, but I do plan on moving forward with that.
Thank you.
Do you have any updates, Supervisor Stroud, on your
No.
efforts
no.
about the...
We've talked about it, and we've got some things in the motion in the future, and she just said,
Yeah, there are things in motion. We're trying to get some estimates and look at other options, since DEC was not willing to do something similar with us on this property.
I'd say a very positive in this agreement, and I'm misreading this, was that the DEC appears to be assuming some responsibility, some financial responsibility in terms of what the ultimate cost of the cleanup may be. It's, and I would be hopeful that they would assume the same amount of responsibility when it would come to the Bay Road property in Queensbury.
Well, that's the problem, is they aren't going to take any
Don't want
responsibility.
to on that one. They
And
don't feel there's any underground storage tanks on that one, so they really don't want to, at this point, they haven't moved to want to do anything with us on that Bay Road one. This agreement that we have for the Chestertown one is very similar to what we had for the one in Johnsburg with Mosier's. We did the same type of thing, except on Mosier's, we put up $15,000, and DEC is, I think, at about $160,000 on the Johnsburg property, and it's still not finished yet, so.
yeah, that's another one where it was great to have this partnership, because, yeah, our liability was maxed out, and they just kept doing the cleanup at whatever cost they incurred.
No, that's very reasonable agreement from our perspective. Yeah.
All right, anything further? Mike? Oh, Mike, I'll ask. I was going to ask about the testing reserve fund dollar figure.
a little over 200,000 right now.
Okay, thank you.
Did not put anything in it for the last auction because we did not make enough on the auction to put anything in, but I think we're okay right now.
Okay, motion to adjourn? Supervisor McDevitt, Supervisor Loeb on the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. We're adjourned. Do I get to bang the gavel?
No. I've called.